Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Switched On. I'm your host, Ben Lamoureux, and as usual, I'm joined by two guests. The first guest is a longtime writer at Gamnesia, and he was also part of our E3 podcast team before we officially launched Switched On, so you might remember him from that. Welcome back, Elijah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on the show. And then we also have a newcomer to the show, but if you've watched any of our live streams on Twitch, you will probably be familiar with her voice. All the way from the frozen tundras of Canada, we have Tessie.
It's so cold here right now.
It's pretty cold here, too. I'm not going to lie, especially with the wind. But that's okay, because there's no reason to go outside right now when there's plenty of Pokemon to catch indoors.
Oh my god, it's been such a delight to play Pokemon Let's Go, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's been great.
So we're going to jump into our thoughts on that a little while later, but first we're going to break down some of the news from the past couple of weeks, some of the more exciting Nintendo stories. You guys ready to dive in?
Yep,
Let's go.
Absolutely.
Alright, so first up we've just got kind of a collection of random, smaller stories from the week. One of them is that Switch finally has a YouTube app. Have either of you guys been using it much?
No, I don't believe in apps.
Not too much Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't really have any need to watch YouTube stuff on my Switch, but I'm just happy that, you know, they're sort of taking this obvious duh step that so many people have been asking for, because I hope that opens the door to apps that I do actually care about, like Funimation and Netflix. So I see this as a step in hopefully the right direction, but I'm not really using YouTube myself.
I honestly, I have, YouTube on my phone, I have it on my Apple Play TV, I have it on my PC. I literally don't need any more YouTube. And the same with Netflix. I have it on my phone, my iPad, and my Apple Play TV. I'm done with just buying and downloading apps. I'm done.
Yeah, so Nintendo's strategy of just kind of putting out a bare bones game playing machine, that's targeting you specifically, Tess.
I feel oppressed.
I really just don't know what the holdup is on this kind of stuff. I looked at it briefly. It looks like it's basically the same app that's on everything else.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about YouTube, but when it comes to other streaming apps, especially Netflix, if I can get a little tinfoil hat here for a second, my conspiracy is Hulu launched on that a long time ago. So I'm wondering if they didn't get an exclusivity deal. And they signed on with Nintendo in December of last year. So, if they did 1 year of exclusivity, then maybe we'll start to see announcements about other apps next month. But if not, then it's just kind of okay, what the heck's going on?
Yeah, but like you said, I've got other stuff that I use, so...
Yeah, it's not a huge deal. All right, so next up in our random segment is... Nintendo released a new trailer for Smash Bros, and it's pretty awesome. You know, it's just got they zoom in on this billboard that has the awesome artwork of all the different fighters, and then it just kind of comes to life and they're battling each other. But Nintendo didn't put any background music with this trailer, and so as a result, the internet put every background music with the trailer, and it was discovered that that Smash Bros trailer just goes perfectly with everything.
Is this the one that Hombre did he send you the one that he did?
Maybe?
With the DuckTales theme over it?
Oh no, he hasn't sent that to me yet, but that's awesome. I'll have to ask him about that.
I'll send it to you right afterwards, because he sent it to me. He was all hey Tess, you want to see something that I did recently? And I was all oh my god, what? And then he sent it to me, and I just remember getting so mad. I was I want to throw my phone right now. I hate this. This is ridiculous.
My favorite one was "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen, because it didn't just match the speed and everything. The lyrics kept syncing up with what was going on on the screen. When he says something about 200 degrees, call me Fahrenheit, Charizard's flaming across the screen and stuff. It was ridiculous. It was too good.
Yeah, I saw one with the theme from Titanic. That was just too funny.
Yeah, wasn't that one of the Game Explain guys that did that?
Yeah, I think that was one of Andre's.
Yeah, that was great.
I'm just surprised I haven't seen a one with the Rickroll in it yet.
Oh, it has to exist out there.
It's out there. I just haven't seen it.
It's coming.
It has to.
It's coming.
All right, so the last story from our little random news roundup is slightly less humorous than the Smash Bros. Trailer. A couple of Nintendo ROM sites that were operated by a husband and wife have reached a settlement with Nintendo to pay out $12 million for, illegally distributing ROMs for years and years. What do you guys think about that one?
I mean, shame on Nintendo.
Yeah? You
Honestly,
think it's pretty aggressive?
I think not only is it aggressive, I'm glad that there was a free service for a while that, kept up with the demand of people wanting to go back and replay nostalgia games for free, while Nintendo was forcing us all to pay.
Yeah, and what's especially frustrating to me is just that, like, on Switch, like, I sold my Wii U, and one of my friends has a 3DS that I, like, steal from him all the time, but I stole my 3DS, or I sold my 3DS. I did not steal my 3DS. No, so, like, yeah, I don't have access to a lot of those classic games just because a year and a half in, or over a year and a half in now, Nintendo still hasn't brought those games to Switch yet. And I'd pay for the service on Switch, but it's like you're not even giving us that option. So it's not surprising that, other people step up and sort of fill that void, but it's also not surprising that Nintendo would want to then protect their intellectual property, so...
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in that same camp where, if Nintendo would just offer a service where you could get these games other than the NES games that have been released, like, 20 times,
yeah,
I'd gladly pay to play GameCube games.
Oh, definitely GameCube games.
But, I mean, where are you going to get those?
I mean, you can't get them now because of the $12 million, but, I would pay to play the old Wind Waker from the GameCube. I'm not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. And with emulator, we were able to do that, no problem, and now that's not an option anymore. And you're right, it's been a year and a half, and Nintendo needs to step it up and give us what we want. Give the people what they want, because that's what everybody else is doing.
We just want to throw money at the screen, Nintendo.
That's literally... They're wasting big money, especially with, like, the online thing, where it's going to cost Canadians, like, millions of dollars just to play online. Yay, US dollar currency exchange rate. So happy with that.
So, an interesting take I've been seeing here, too, is that, like, that 12 million number is really high, and this, from what I understand, was not a judgment handed down by the court. This was an out-of-court settlement that they then, had to take to the judge to get approval, meaning they sat down with Nintendo and agreed to 12 million, even though that's, like, most people think if it had gone to court, it wouldn't have been that high of a number. And so what some people are suggesting is that essentially they're not actually going to have to pay 12 million, that's just basically the number that they've agreed upon in public, basically to scare other ROM sites from ever doing this, and then in private that they probably agreed to, like, a much smaller settlement. And, that's not something that will probably ever, be able to be proven. I guess stories have come out in the past where it was proven, like, in the article we wrote about it, I cited Torrent Freak pointed out that Hotfile agreed to pay an $80 million settlement, and then they ended up actually only ever paying $4 million, and the $80 million was essentially just put out there to, like, scare other people from doing the same thing. So I would not be surprised if that's the tactic Nintendo's doing. Like, they wanted that $12 million figure to make all the headlines so that, other ROM sites would be like, yeah, this just isn't worth the risk anymore. We're not going to mess around if there's lawsuits being thrown around.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can honestly see that.
All right, well, moving on to our next segment, we had a whole bunch of different quotes from various Nintendo executives about, the future of the company and, various questions from fans. So we're going to dive into some of those. The first one is that Nintendo's president recently said that he expects a lot more third-party support for the system going forward. And the context in which that was said was basically that he was asked by an investor, like, hey, I see Nintendo's missing out on some of these big games. What's up with that? Is that going to change? And Nintendo's president said, well, look, we're not going to get every single third-party game or every single multi-platform game. It's not going to happen. Like, for example, I don't think Red Dead Redemption 2 has any chance of running on Switch. But, he pointed to, like, some of the games that they have gotten to the system and to some of the publishers that have worked with them. And they said, we've got a lot of strong supporters out there, and we expect that to increase going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care as much about, like, getting, like, Assassin's Creed or whatever on the Switch as much as some more of these kind of off-the-wall collabs that they've been doing. Like, the Mario and Rabbids was phenomenal.
Yeah, and it sold well, too.
Let's get more of that.
Yeah, stuff specifically tailored to Nintendo's audience. And, it's also good to get, like, for instance, Bethesda's never supported Nintendo before, but now, you're seeing the support with, like, Doom coming to Switch and Wolfenstein. So, yeah, some of those games are cool. Like, it gives players the opportunity to play them on the go when they can't do that anywhere else. But Switch is, in terms of its hardware, it doesn't have as much power as PS4 or Xbox One, but it can also do a lot of cool things that they can't do. So it makes sense to work out more of these deals where you're either making whole games exclusively designed for Switch, like Mario and Rabbids, or like content designed for it, like the Star Fox version of Starlink.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, Nintendo's president also talked a bit about Switch Online and basically just acknowledged that, it's not super great with fans right now. It's not going over as well as they had hoped. And so he basically said that Nintendo is committed to bringing enhancements to it. So what do you guys think about that? What kind of enhancements do you expect or hope to see in the near future?
Hi, remove the $20, please, so I can play my games online freely with all my friends. That would be great. Okay, thanks, bye.
I'm going to guess that they probably won't do that, but...
If they could throw in some GameCube games or something,
Oh, man. That would absolutely make it worth it.
Oh, so worth it.
For me, I need my Super Nintendo games especially. And then, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, that area, that would all be nice too. GameCube games, I want them, I need them, but I for that, I think maybe I could see them treating those more as like individual releases, like HD remasters or HD bundles, rather than putting them as part of the service. But one way or another, they got to get there.
Maybe at least some like N64 games.
Yeah, definitely, because, we were starting to finally get those towards, like, the end of the Wii U life cycle, too. So it's just always a shame when, by the end of a console's life cycle, they've really built up a good eShop, and then oftentimes they gotta, like, start from scratch again.
Here's Pokemon Snap right before the Switch launches.
So I am hopeful that we'll start to see Super Nintendo and N64, because the next story on our list is that Reggie was asked about, all the rumors and reports and trademarks and stuff related to the N64 Classic. And he basically just swore up and down that it doesn't exist, that Nintendo has no plans for an N64 Classic. And a couple different times when he was asked about it over the last couple weeks, he mentioned Nintendo Switch Online and kept saying, look, we've already started releasing NES games on that, and we're going to bring more classic games to that. So he stopped short of specifically saying, yes, we have plans for a Super Nintendo on the service. Yes, we have plans for N64. Like, he didn't come out and confirm that, but people asked him about those things, and that was his answer. Hey, look at Nintendo Switch Online. So I think that's Nintendo's way of saying that they are coming, but go a little faster, please.
They're coming, but only if you buy Switch Online first.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the Switch Online?
Yeah, I do.
I don't.
See, I haven't really used it all that much just because I don't play, like, too many games online, but I just... Well, I want to be able to, like, trade in Pokemon and stuff like that, but I got a family account and then just got a bunch of my friends to, like, pitch in $5 or whatever, so, like, it barely costs anything.
Do you really have to have it to trade in Pokemon?
I'm not 100% sure. I haven't looked that up to see, but I was able to trade in Pokemon, and I have Nintendo Switch Online, so that proves it.
I'm going to have to figure that out later, because if you have to pay $20 to trade online...
Yeah, that would be a little frustrating, especially since Pokemon doesn't support cloud saves, so...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, for a lot of the games, like, basically any game where they're worried that you could exploit the cloud saves in a way that would, like, let you cheat the game, they're not putting them in, so there's, like, Pokemon doesn't get it, and there was another one that was... a fairly big name that they confirmed won't get it. Oh yeah, I think that's it. Splatoon 2, yeah.
Okay, like Splatoon I can understand why, because that's like, they have their competitions and it's, their shooters and their online stuff for that, but like, it's Pokemon. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that could happen? I jump ahead to Fuchsia City to get, all my Pokemon Let's Go people over... or Pokemon Go people over. I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. If you haven't seen the streams, I'm normally a huge mess. It's great.
We love her. It's fine.
I don't see the reasoning in that at all for Pokemon of all games.
I could kind of see, like, if it was like a full-fledged game where there's going to be a big competitive scene, then maybe. But I mean, who's going to be running to play competitive Pokemon where you can only use Gen 1 Pokemon?
I'm not gonna lie, if like Smogon sets up a tier specifically for that to play like the Let's Go like meta, I guess it would be called, I will absolutely play it because I love the idea of just playing with the Gen 1 Pokemon but with the modern fighting mechanics, because Gen 1 didn't have the split between physical and special like they do now. So I will absolutely do it, but I won't be doing it on my Switch because I'm not going to spend 1,000 hours like trying to get perfect IVs and EVs, but I will absolutely do competitive Let's Go on Smogon until Nintendo shuts them down.
It's only a matter of time.
All right, so moving on, Reggie Fils-Aimé, the president of Nintendo of America, he was asked basically about the fact that Switch has kind of had a slow year. Not a whole lot launched during the spring and the summer. We got like Mario Tennis Aces, but all of the big titles are all bunched right at the end, right? You got Mario Party, you got Pokemon, you got Smash, all in the final quarter. So Reggie was kind of asked if, Nintendo wishes they could have done things differently. And he said, if it was, up to him, ideally Smash would have launched earlier in the year. But also, you don't rush Smash. If Smash isn't ready till December 7th, then Smash launches on December 7th. Because that's one game you don't want to screw up at launch, right?
Exactly. And remember, like, the whole fiasco thing with, like, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild being delayed? They were like, oh, we're sorry, we're delaying it. And people got, like, really upset. Look how amazing Breath of the Wild turned out, guys.
Yeah. And honestly, if you're surprised about a mainline Zelda game getting delayed at this point, you're not paying attention to history.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the only person that didn't want Smash to come out earlier is probably Sakurai.
Yeah, right. Like, please, I need more time.
I guess I'll never
My
get a break.
arms are falling off. Yeah, oh man. It's like, I know it was meant to be kind of tongue-in-cheek or whatever, but it's true. That dude, like, just never stops working. It's
okay, though, because he's forever young.
Yeah, he's a vampire. He just doesn't age. Wonderful man. All right, so one last thing from our executive quote section. I believe this is also Reggie. He was asked about Metroid Prime 4, and he said that it is well along in development. And he also said that Nintendo already internally knows when they plan to release it, but they're not at the place yet where they're ready to announce that publicly.
That's exciting. I bet there's a bunch of people that are all like, oh my god, we need Metroid Prime right now. Yeah. Like, we need it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can sort of fill a niche that Nintendo hasn't really touched yet on Switch, that sort of like sci-fi shooter type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be great. And you said that they didn't say how they were well into development, just they know when they're going to release it. They just
he didn't say like release date. Let me get the exact phrasing here. He said, internally we have expectations about when Metroid Prime 4 is going to be released. We haven't announced it yet, but yeah, the game is well into development.
Yeah, I'd guess probably like next November.
Yeah, that could maybe be like a fall or holiday title. I don't know if it's quite a big enough franchise for Nintendo to make it the November game, especially since they've already got the Pokemon whatever Gen 8 or whatever it's going to be. But I could see that being maybe like the October or December game, like right around the same time. Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that we get a look at it at the Game Awards in December.
That would be nice.
Jeff Keighley's been teasing that there's more like announcements of new games in this Game Awards than like anyone before. And I don't know if you remember, but like a few months back, Reggie and Keighley tweeted out a picture of themselves together, and Reggie was wearing a Metroid shirt, so that sparked all kinds of speculation.
Did you find any follow through on that Metroid pin from years ago?
Yeah. Or, maybe they'll surprise us and announce the Prime Trilogy HD remake that we all deserve.
Yes.
Okay, so, moving on from all of the lovely things that Nintendo executives have been saying in America and Japan, there was some less lovely stuff going down in Nintendo of Russia recently. This video circulated of the CEO basically having a total meltdown during a live stream event where they were like streaming Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and he was like swearing at his employees and insulting them and threatening to fire them and stuff. And then after that,
Oh.
yeah, it got pretty like ugly by the end. Like it's a mix of Russian and English, and there's subtitles for all the Russian stuff. But yeah, at one point he's clearly just berating them and swearing in English, and for everyone to hear. And yeah, so since then, actually, some more employees, like some Russian outlets, have been like reaching out and talking to ex-employees. Most of them have remained anonymous, but one or two actually put their names on the record. And they basically described this guy as an absolute tyrant to work for. So Nintendo has said that they are now launching an internal investigation to figure out what they should do about this. But I think the evidence is pretty clear that this guy does not need to be in charge of the Nintendo brand in Russia. I don't think he represents their values.
No, absolutely not. Nintendo's supposed to be family friendly and, fun, not sweary and screaming and threatening people.
Yeah, and making your employees like quiver in fear whenever you walk by.
Who does that?
Apparently the Nintendo of Russia CEO.
Not to mention, like, how do you not realize that you're on a live stream after like probably 30 minutes or so?
Yeah, like they were having all kinds of technical difficulties, and that's, part of why he was so upset, but like he was very visibly in the camera frame yelling at people like on multiple occasions, and the two guys playing Mario Kart and streaming it just like they look miserable, and they're just like sitting there like, hands on their heads like, oh my god.
And one of them was like, I'm not coming back after this.
Yes. That guy's a hero. So, yeah, hopefully Nintendo does the right thing here and just replaces him with someone less of a monster. And also, if a lot of other complaints are valid, hopefully someone more competent, too. Because it sounds like this guy's been heavily criticized for his business practices, too. But he's been the CEO there for a few years now, and Nintendo has been sticking by him thus far. But I don't know if that's going to continue, and I hope it doesn't.
I hope not either. That's just terrible.
Yeah. Moving on to slightly happier news, Nintendo has confirmed that they will be at E3 again in 2019, just like everyone was expecting. The reason they confirmed this is because Sony announced that they are ducking out of the event for the first time ever after going there like 23, 24 years in a row, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically, Sony just came out and said, like, yeah, we don't have enough in development to justify an E3 press conference, like we feel like we're asking you guys to show up for not that great of a show, so we're just not going to hold it. And this comes after they canceled, well, I guess I shouldn't technically say canceled, they never officially announced it, but they do PlayStation Experience every year in December, and last year they kind of hinted that they were still planning on doing one in 2018, but just a few weeks ago they announced that that's not happening either, so Sony is, they're ducking out of all these big events.
Yeah, I don't know what their plan is with this, and we discussed this. If you haven't listened yet, or if it's not out yet, we also discussed this on the Gamnesia After Dark. I don't know what their plan is. I mean, they can afford it. They can afford to take the hit. Like, it's speculation right now that they're working on, like, the PlayStation 5. I don't know if that's the name they want to go with it, because PS5 just sounds really weird, but okay. I don't know what they're thinking, I don't know what they're doing, and I don't know what their plan is.
So, they're definitely working on the next console. I'd probably just call it PS5 at this point, like, you're 4 generations in, don't mess up a sure thing. But yeah, they said at E3 that they're working on a new console, and that they want to launch it in roughly 3 years. And then right after that, Microsoft is like, we're working on 2 new consoles, and we're launching them in 2 years. So I get the feeling that Sony's kind of speeding up their timetable, and so they're probably putting most of their resources now into, like, next generation. Like, they've already, it's not a console war, but in terms of sales, they have won this generation. PS4 has a huge lead over Xbox One, and they know it. So if I'm trying to guess strategically what they're doing, I think they're just going to coast the rest of this gen. They're not going to have too many more, like, big exclusives like God of War and Spider-Man. I think when it comes to exclusives, they're focused on next gen, and they're just going to count on the third-party multi-platform games to just keep bringing in money for the next 2 years or so. Because yeah, most games, if they're on PS4 and Xbox, they're going to sell better on PS4 just because more people own PS4s. So I think they're just coasting. I think they're on easy mode now.
Yeah,
They've done their job. They can take it easy.
seems like a bit overkill to pull out 100%, not even have like a small booth or anything.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I mean, I can see canceling the press conference, and just going to, like, an online video or no video at all. Nintendo's had success with their directs. But, yeah, the fact that, like, they're not even, Nintendo the one year, all they brought was Zelda, and they just went all out on Zelda. Like, you could do that with, like, The Last of Us 2 or something. But, yeah, for whatever reason, Sony has just decided that with the games they have in the pipeline, it's not worth a show and it's not worth a booth.
And didn't they, like, announce all their big titles last year, too?
Yeah, pretty much.
So they literally have nothing to give us.
Yeah,
nothing new anyways.
And their E3 conference this year was criticized quite a bit. So I think after that, they're just like, yeah, if we can't wow these people, we might as well not show up and get the bad press.
You mean people don't want a 20-minute intermission?
Yeah, that was a little bizarre.
I mean, I enjoyed watching the move from tent to tent. That looked rather fun.
Tent is the best game of 2018.
I could not believe that when we were told about that.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. And Microsoft actually had like a jam-packed show full of nonstop announcements for once. They decided to reverse roles.
They traded PR teams.
Yeah. Alright, so our last story from the news section today is that we recently finally got our first look at the Detective Pikachu movie. What do you guys think?
Oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah, I was kind of put off by the Pokemon designs at first. They were just so surprising, I guess. But the more I see it, the more that they kind of grow on me. There's some that are still a little creepy.
Mr. Mime.
Are you talking Mime? Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Jigglypuff either.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. No, she looks good, and I like that she has, like, her little, like, marker with her.
Yeah, that part's great.
And, like, Kevin, my boyfriend, was, like, we were watching the video, and he kind of, like, pointed out, he's like, so that's the marker, and you also know that guy's head is bald. So that means he's going to have a face on afterwards. And it's like, oh my god!
Yeah, I didn't mind the Jigglypuff. I thought that looked okay. But I'm kind of with you, Elijah, where like when they first started showing them on the screen, it was a bit jarring. We'd read so many articles where people described it as being hyper-realistic, but there's nothing that can quite prepare you for seeing it the first time. But by the end of like the 2-minute trailer or whatever, I was pretty sold. And I feel like Ryan Reynolds is going to be a pretty funny Detective Pikachu. Not quite as gruff as I would expect based on the games, but he should be funny. He's going to put a lot of butts in seats. This movie's going to make a lot of money.
Can we actually talk about Ryan Reynolds for a second and how this is going to... Nintendo's probably going to take a hit in this later on in, like, a Deadpool movie?
Yeah, he's going to make references. Yeah, I could see that.
That's all I could hear, like, whenever Pikachu was not on screen, but Detective Pikachu's talking. I just hear Deadpool.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not necessarily expecting this to be a masterpiece of filmmaking, but I think this movie's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I think even if it's this kind of niche game, doesn't matter. Like their target audience is not like people who played the game. They're just trying to get as many kids and kids at heart as possible to go see this movie. And Detective Pikachu lets you do that in this sort of framework where the main plot of the movie is not just, hey, there's like pet dogfighting rings all over the world.
I'm kind of curious to see how they address the battling in it.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll really focus on that aspect as much, or if it'll just be like, Pokemon battle in like life-threatening situations, but not for fun. I imagine they'll try not to focus too much on the whole fighting for fun aspect.
Do you guys think that we'll see a legendary?
Oh, absolutely, at some point. I mean, they've got to drop that in there, right?
Which one do you guys think it's going to be? I want, like, fan theories right now. Which legendary Pokemon is going to end up in this movie?
Oh, man. My heart says Mewtwo.
Yeah, that's where I was leaning, just because, like, that's the first thing people are going to think of when they think legendary.
If they wanted to be really, really forward-thinking, they would put in, like, the legendary from the games coming out next year that no one knows about yet.
It's like the
and
first
be like,
reveal.
BAM! Yeah, or like is the post-credit scene or something. Go all Marvel on us.
I was actually thinking they might have Ho-Oh.
Yeah?
Ho-Oh? Yeah.
As like a nod to the anime in the early episode.
the very first episode, that's like the only thing I'm thinking about is whether or not they'll have a rainbow at the end and we just see Ho-Oh just flying off in the distance.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Nice nod to the show's history.
That would be very cool. Also, Mew would be another good one to have in.
Yeah.
Just have him, like, randomly, like, float through, like, the trees, because I think I saw correctly that they are in the woods at some point.
Yeah, there's, like, Bulbasaurs, like, running through a river in the woods, and...
Yeah, so that would be cool, too.
Or you could just randomly have Arceus show up.
Yeah, make all the other Pokemon bow. Yeah, I do like the idea of Mew just kind of, like, floating around in the background, not really doing anything, just like, hey, what's up, I'm Mew.
And, like, they just add in, like, a little sound clip, but you have to, like, really, really listen for it to hear him.
Alright, so now we're ready for our discussion segment, which is basically, I think, just going to be us gushing like little kids excitedly. That's about what I'm ready for.
Pretty much.
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, so as you all probably know, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee recently launched, and we have all been playing the crap out of them. So, why don't you guys just give me like some quick impressions, just like 2 or 3 sentences, and then we'll dive in deep and talk about all the things we love and or some of the things we don't love. How about you, Tess?
Pikachu is the best. Fight me.
I will fight you. And you, Elisha?
Pikachu all the way.
Oh, am I the only Eevee player here?
Yep.
Honestly,
Well,
10 minutes into my playthrough of Pokemon Eevee, I caught a wild Pikachu. So I'm like, well, I feel satisfied with the version I bought.
But can he learn Zippy Zap?
No, but he can
Yeah.
evolve.
Zippy Zap is so broken that it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, is it pretty
Yeah.
good?
It's like a 50 base power, always goes first, always crits.
So it's an 100 base power.
yeah.
Man, that is broken. That's awesome. Yeah, I taught the... I don't remember what it's called, bubble something or other. I taught the water move to my Eevee, but I didn't end up using it too much because I ended up eventually cycling Eevee out of my party just because I was catching so many cool things. So, you know, obviously he still rides around on my head, which I love that your partner Pokemon's with you even if he's not in your 6. Because he also carries all your secret techniques, which replace HMs. So you don't gotta have, you know, someone in your party that knows Surf, someone that knows Cut, someone that knows Strength. Nope, my Eevee does all of that, and I don't even have to have him in my party. He just rides around in my head and does everything I ask him to, like a good little boy.
I'm not gonna lie, I got very upset about that, like, super quickly.
Really?
I was all like, because I was talking to Kevin about it, and I was just all like, okay, so I have to have these guys in my party, I have to have my Charizard, my Pidgeot, my Lapras, and whatever else I normally have. And I was just like, I need to have these specific guys so that way I can teach them the TMs, so that way I can move around freely with no issue. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, so Pikachu does it all. And I'm just all like, what? Why?
How dare they make it convenient?
How dare they? Exactly. I got really upset about it really quickly. And Kevin just kind of like sat there and he goes, are you going to be okay? And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm having a meltdown.
They changed your childhood.
Oh yeah. They changed my childhood completely. Destroyed. 0 out of 10. I hate this. Nintendo, I'm out.
Well, there you go. That's the end of our podcast. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
See you all next week for when, you know, Tess has another meltdown.
You can tell us all why Smash Bros. Sucks in a few weeks.
Why Breath of the Wild is the worst Zelda game.
I actually really like Breath of the Wild, so I'm not going to rip on it.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that that my Eevee can do all that stuff because it frees my party up for just 100% like team composition or whichever one's cutest. And I also really like, and I was a little disappointed at first when I get to the bike shop and the dude's like, I will never sell you a bike, go away. And then I found out that it doesn't matter because I had already known that there were Pokemon that could be ridden in certain circumstances, and that's been around for a while, like since X and Y, I think. Definitely in Sun and Moon. But no, your ride Pokemon, you can ride them like anywhere, so they completely replace the bike. So I got myself an Arcanine, and it's friggin' huge. Like, people don't realize Arcanine's like the size of a house, and I can ride him all over the place. It's wonderful.
I also have an Arcanine, because I was really excited, because I've never caught a Growlithe before in my life. And I was just like, oh my god, this is the first time I'm ever going to catch one. So I caught it, and then I was all like, I'm leveling him up, and then I finally got a Firestone, and I was just all like, oh my god, this is it. I'm finally gonna have an Arcanine. And then I evolved him, and then I was just all like, I can ride him.
Right?
I can actually have a childhood where I'm not stuck with the Pokemon that I caught in the very beginning that I just been leveling up.
Oh, you did that too when you were young and dumb?
Oh my god, absolutely.
Me and my neighbor shared a file on his Game Boy, and yeah, for the longest time, all we had was this overpowered Charizard and nothing else because he just, like, kept killing everything.
Just Charizard.
Just Charizard. And, like, he taught him really terrible moves, too. He gave him, like, Fly and Cut and Seismic Toss. Like,
oh my god.
it's not a good Charizard.
No fire moves.
I think it had Flamethrower, but, like, that was the only viable move on him. Yeah, so speaking of, like, riding Pokemon, one of my good friends, Josh, his favorite Pokemon has always been Ponyta. And me and him actually just went out and grabbed dinner a little earlier, and then I was showing him Pokemon Let's Go. And it was just kind of an experiment for me to, like, watch him play, because he hasn't, you know, he grew up playing Pokemon, but he hasn't played in years and years and years. And I've always said Let's Go, you know, it targets two types of players. It targets the Go fans that have never played a core Pokemon game before, and it can serve as sort of a stepping stone for them. And then it targets the people like us that grew up playing Pokemon as kids, but then maybe stopped. So he hasn't been playing since Gen 2. And after, like, 30 minutes with the game, he's like, yeah, I'm sold. I'm buying a Switch and I'm buying this game. And then I told him...
Josh.
What's that? Oh, not Josh Copeland.
Josh.
Not Josh Copeland.
Oh,
A different Josh.
oh, okay, never mind.
You don't know all my friends, Tessie.
No, not yet. They'll all know me someday, just not today.
So his favorite Pokemon is Ponyta, and when he started to see, like, you know, Pokemon running around, like, on the overworld, like Rattatas and Pidgeys and stuff, I was like, just so you know, there's a route where I've once seen 3 Ponytas all just trotting side by side up and down freely in the fields. And his eyes light up, and I'm like, and you can ride a Rapidash. He's like, I'm buying this game.
Where's the Best Buy?
Wait, say the pony's name again for me, please.
Ponyta?
You mean Ponyta?
I've always heard it Ponyta. I don't know.
I heard it Ponyta.
Yeah, I guess it's just where you want to put the accent and on which syllable.
On which syllable?
I'm pretty sure it's...
Syllable, yes.
Which road again? Did you see all those
It's the one that used to be the cycling road, and now it's just called Pokemon Road, I think, and it connects Celadon to Saffron.
Okay, I haven't...
Or no, Celadon to Fuchsia, my bad. So it connects from, like, the grass gym to the poison gym.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet either. I'm just getting into Saffron, so...
Oh, okay. Yeah, how far are you guys? How many badges do you have?
I have, like, 3. But I've also been... I had a busy weekend, so I've been trying to, like, balance, like, my new hobby, painting miniatures, and playing Pokemon Go all weekend, and doing other things, and trying to be an adult, and starting a new job. So that's been really hard, but I got to... Not the one with that Team Rocket's currently holding up, and you have to fight Gary. Saffron?
Yeah. Celadon's got, like, the big mall in it.
Yeah, I think it's that one. Not the one with the arcade, but the one, like, in the center, like, the big...
Oh, then, yeah, that's Saffron.
Okay, yeah, I finally have gotten there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, too. I'm in Silphco right now.
Nice.
I am there, too. Okay, I actually have, like, a legitimate question for you guys. Are you guys having a hard time balancing your teams out?
Keeping them all roughly the same level?
It's keeping them roughly the same level, but not only that, battling other Pokemon. Are you guys finding it, like, hard to find, like, one Pokemon to defeat, like, another one? Because I had an instance where I was fighting a Weezing, and he kept just, like, killing all my Pokemon in one shot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I wasn't able, like, nothing I did was able to work until I had my Primeape out, and he was able to do, like, a dig attack, and it just, like, took him down to, like, half a health. Like, I'm having, like, those sorts of issues. Are you guys having any of those? Like,
I would say not too much, but I'm pretty far along in the game, so I've got, like, a pretty wide range of attacks across my team. And, like, yeah, Weezing just has, like, really good physical defense and pretty good attack, so he can be tough to take down. unless you have something that's super effective against poison. So
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty well balanced at this point. I used to have a little bit of problem against psychic types just because there's not a whole lot that's weak against that's strong against them. But then I got a Haunter and that problem's fixed now. So
yeah, that'll solve that real quick. Well, let me know if you want to turn that into a Gengar. You can do a trade with me. I did some trades with Jeff from Gamnesia to get myself an Alakazam and a Gengar. So
yeah, I'll have to see if it's gonna cost me $20 first.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm not sure Gengar's worth 20.
I've got an extra spot on my family account, so maybe I can hook you up. But yeah, I'm having just a ton of fun with it. Like I love the visuals and like all the little touches. Like in battle, I can see like my Eevee's tail is always like, you know, wagging in the breeze and his ears twitch and like just all these little details that, you know, weren't in the previous games that just add up to a more immersive experience. Pokemon running around on the overworld, you know.
Dressing up Pikachu in a dapper little tuxedo.
Yeah. Yes. He's a handsome boy.
One of the things that I, like, when I first popped open the game, I actually almost started to cry with how beautiful I found the graphics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that, like, on Pikachu, like, you can, if you look at him, you can actually see, like, on his stomach, like, you can see fur.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, like, that blew me away, and I was like, this is it. This is our first big quality Pokemon game, where we get to see whether or not they have fur, if they have scales, you know, nothing that the anime couldn't tell us or hasn't told us. Like, I just thought that was really neat, and that just kind of brought, like, tears to my eyes.
And I appreciate how, like, smooth everything looks, because, you know, the 3DS screen, I've ragged on it quite a bit in the past. Like, it's old tech at this point. Not a lot of pixels on that thing. So, as a result, you get a lot of jagged edges and a lot of, you know, pixelated-looking models, and everything's just so much smoother on Switch, you know? And the graphics, they're not even that detailed. Like, some of the textures are pretty simple, but they picked an art style that they know how to use, and then, you know, they just made it all look pretty and polished and smooth. Like, they know what they're working with, and they've done a great job at bringing all these characters to life.
And I love the addition of, like, some of the small little cutscenes that they put in at some of the key moments. Like, like the scene at the top of Pokemon Tower with Cubone's mom. That was almost tears right there.
I actually started to cry at that. I just literally started to cry, and Kevin looks over and he goes, "Are you crying over Pokemon?" And I was like, they actually die. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it's not in, like, 8-bit black and white anymore. Like, they can actually, you know, make you kind of feel it a little more.
It looks like he actually has a soul.
So, we've been saying lots of lovely things about this. Do you guys have any complaints, any things that don't work quite how they're supposed to, or that, you know, changes that you're not crazy about?
I hate the ball throwing.
Yeah.
Hands down. Mind you, I thought it was just me until Will, another writer or an editor on the site, brought it up, because I kept, like, throwing the balls, and they just kept going, like, left, right, not going in the center, and I was like, I'm sitting in the center of the TV, I'm holding my arm pretty straight. What am I doing wrong? Am I doing something wrong? And then, like, Will was just all like, yeah, is anybody else having issues with this? And I was like, okay, so it's not just a me thing. I don't know if they put out a patch for it. I know that there was a patch or a software update for it downstairs when I was coming into the door, but other than that, that's all I know right now.
Yeah, I'd say whenever a Pokemon's, like, directly in front of me, for the most part, my throws are fine, but if it's to the left or to the right or moving, you know, I don't feel like it's super responsive to what I'm telling it to do. Like, I've had times where, you know, I clearly threw it to the left and the Pokeball goes to the right. And I'm just like, now how the heck did that happen? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really had too many issues with it. I had some initially, but I feel like I've been kind of trying to, like, if they're on the left or the right, kind of, like, curve it, kind of like in Pokemon Go, where you kind of, like, you throw a curveball. I mean, that's kind of how I've been doing it.
It's been working all right for you since you tried that method?
It's okay. I don't know if it's just incidental or...
Yeah, see, I've had that too, where, like, I'll try something and I'm like, okay, I feel like this particular, like, whatever, motion of the wrist or timing or whatever, I feel like this is working. and like it will for a few throws, and then like I'll miss like 2 or 3 in a row. I'm like, oh well, maybe I was just lucky on those last 2 or 3 that made it. So I haven't really found a throwing style where I'm consistently getting it almost every time. I feel like it's always like 50-50 whether or not my throws to the left or the right do what I want them to do. But again, throwing dead on, haven't had too many problems. So I can see why a lot of people, well, I don't know if I should say a lot. I can see why a vocal minority on social media is upset that that the motion controls aren't optional. Like in handheld mode, they kind of are. But if you're playing in TV mode, they're required. And I've heard like some people that either have disabilities or just like injuries, like neck strain or something, like are having trouble with them, and that kind of stinks too, because this is a game that's really accessible, I think, to a wide range of people. But if you have issues with your range of motion, then that like immediately kills a large portion of the experience for you.
One of the other cool things that I think they could have put into the game, especially with like the controls from where like the handhelds, and just Elijah actually brought it up, and it just made me go, oh, maybe this would have been cool. Like how they had like in Pokemon Go where you can like spin the ball. Mm-hmm. Like that would be cool to like hold the Joy-Con in your hand and act like you're spinning the ball.
Oh yeah.
And then just throw it. And then like you get a curveball or you get like an excellent for doing something like that. That would actually be really, really cool. Mm-hmm. And that just kind of feels like a lost opportunity on Nintendo's part.
Yeah. Or even, like, make use of some of the other buttons, like, hold down the trigger to, do something to the ball, to throw it higher or put spin on it or something, Yeah,
nail the
fastball.
Pokemon.
If you hit it in the head, you have a higher chance of catching it.
You can't fight back then.
Yeah, so I've had some issues just with, the throwing, and then combined with, like, sometimes I do like really good throws. Like I'll get like the nice or the great or the excellent, and I'll get that several times in a row, and it just doesn't catch it anyway, and then it runs away. So then that's frustrating. Where I'm like, well, I just wasted 8 great balls on that wild Dodrio or whatever, and then I didn't catch it. So I have found myself every now and then wishing that I could do more than just lob Pokeballs and berries. It's like, I have 2 guys that know Thunder Wave. I have someone that knows Hypnosis. Can't I do something to lower this guy's defense and catch him a little easier?
Yeah, I had that moment early on where I like taught Pikachu Thunder Wave. Like, yeah, this will be great. This will be useful later. And then I had the realization, like, oh, I can't use that.
Which actually brings me to another good point. I kind of miss like being able. I definitely do miss being able to battle other Pokemon, especially for like the grinding aspect of Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Realizing like, because going back through like my childhood, I was probably where I've gotten. I was probably like high level, like 30s, almost 40s. And able just to, like, kill everybody in one hit. Now I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm struggling a bit because they're all, like, level 38 and I'm still, like, level 33. This shouldn't be happening right now. I normally grind on Pokemon. I do miss, like, the battles a bit with the random wild Pokemon.
And like, you can still grind by catching, but then, you got to use up a lot of Pokeballs and go buy Pokeballs. And they made them cheaper, so that's nice. But, yeah, it's not... I don't always... I think maybe I'm more willing to just go around and, like, do a bunch of random battles than I am to go around and catch a bunch of Pokemon that I'm then just going to ship off to Professor Oak because I don't actually need them on my team, I think I'm more engaged when I'm grinding by battling rather than grinding by catching.
I agree. I totally agree there.
But at the same time, I do like that they found ways to make grinding by catching more rewarding. Like if you keep catching, if you get a chain going, right? If you keep catching nothing but Rattatas, then eventually the Rattatas will start spawning with higher stats, and it will increase the chance of a shiny appearing. So I like touches like that, where they're like, if you're going to put in the time, if you're going to put in the effort to catch multiple of the same species, then we'll make it worth your while. And so that's especially cool if you're trying to get a Pokemon, with like really good stats and the right nature and all that, so that you can build a stronger team, if you're that type of player.
How have you guys ran into any wild shinies yet? Just like out of the blue, they just magically appeared? Like without having to do any of the streaks or anything like that?
I haven't yet, no.
Nah, I haven't. I feel like you're probably going to have to do streaks. I don't know that I've ever seen a shiny Pokemon like ever.
Really?
In any of the games.
Really?
I mean, I've had some that I got traded in or something, but never
I've got, I don't know, maybe like not counting the red Gyarados, which I've caught a million times across a bunch of different games. I've caught probably still single digits, maybe like somewhere in like the 7 or 8 range of shinies. And I've never been like a shiny hunter. I've never really done any of the tricks to make them spawn higher, but I've just had decent luck, I guess, over the years. But no, I have not encountered one in Let's Go yet.
I actually encountered my first ever shiny that, I got by myself and not had, like, a friend or my sister, like, transfer to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just randomly, it was in the Diglett Cave, I believe, is where I found the gold bat.
Oh, okay.
And he just, like, magically appeared, and I was like, I haven't caught a gold bat yet. Where is he? He's a shiny! This is my chance! This is my opportunity!
And this was in Let's Go?
Yeah, this was in Let's Go.
That's awesome.
I never had it happen, and I was just all like, oh my god, this is happening. I'm about to catch my first shiny, and I caught my gold bat. I'll take a picture and send it to you later.
Yeah, it's always cool when you get your first one.
Do they show up shiny on the overworld, or is it just once you go into battle?
Nope, they show up shiny on the overworld.
Okay.
So, Golbat that appeared, he was like a green with like stars around him.
That's really cool.
I was really...
The stars appear on the overworld too?
Yeah, they do, actually.
Yeah, because I know, like, whenever one pops into a battle, like, a little ring of stars goes around it.
They're, like, I've noticed with, like, the overworld, like, if you come across, like, a small Pokemon or a big Pokemon, like, it'll have, like, a red and blue, like, spiral around them. Like a tornado, almost. But, like, the shinies, they definitely do have, like, they have the different color going for them. They have, like, a star, like, stars around them, and they look really nice.
That's good that you can easily distinguish them. And just in general, I love that Pokemon spawn on the overworld. It makes it so much more immersive, you know? Like, I keep saying that it aside from the weird catching mechanics, it feels like the game that you imagined you were playing as a kid, you know?
Yep.
Going on your Pokemon adventure.
It doesn't feel like such a chore to have to backtrack somewhere and go through the grass and...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you don't want to encounter... Like, I've gotten a bunch of repels, but I've never had any reason to use them, because if you want to avoid Pokemon, you usually can. You can see them on the map and just kind of duck and weave between them and get where you need to go.
Other than Growlithe. Growlithe will charge you.
That's okay. Growlithe's a good boy, and you will catch him.
Catch all the Growliths, guys. Also, if you don't know this, that there's a Street Fighter looking like dude back in... the water one, I can't remember. If you give him 5 Growliths, he'll give you a Persian.
Yeah, and in my version, I had to give him 5 Meowths, and he gave me an Arcanine.
Oh, he gave me a Persian.
Because you got Pikachu version, and I've got Eevee version, so they swapped him around.
Oh, really? I just thought it might have been, like, on your preference, because I picked that I was a cat person. Or, no, a dog person. And then he gave me a cat. So I was just like, okay... Maybe it was based on my preference.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too at first, but yeah, I looked it up and it's version exclusive.
Oh, okay, I see.
So how have you guys been playing the game? Do you guys play mostly handheld? Do you use Joy-Cons or the Pokeball Plus?
I've been playing probably 50-50 between TV and handheld, and I did not buy the Pokemon Plus accessory. I played with it at E3, and I thought it was pretty cool. I did not think it was $50 cool.
Yeah.
But Ben, everything's $50 cool.
You know, I'd be more inclined to maybe invest in it if Nintendo wasn't holding Mew hostage. Like, I have a Mew in Pokemon Go, but they won't let me transfer it over because they want me to buy their $50 Mew. Like, no, that's terrible. I caught this thing fair and square.
This is how you get exclusives.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But no, it's kind of a cool accessory. I just can't justify dropping the $50 on it.
Yeah, I had to have it just because Pokemon's like my favorite franchise, so I had to have that little Pokeball.
Do you feel like it's enhanced the journey over like just playing with the Joy-Con?
I do. I really like. I played a little bit with the Joy-Con once when the Pokeball died, tragically. So yeah, I like the rumble in it a lot. I feel it really does feel like the Pokemon kind of goes into the Pokeball when you catch it.
Oh, So, like, it vibrates. Like, I haven't actually paid attention up until, like, the release date, and I knew about the ball, but I wasn't entirely sure what it did. So, like, it actually vibrates.
It vibrates, and then it plays the Pokemon's cry, and it, like, flashes a color corresponding to, like, the color of the Pokemon.
I actually didn't know about the color. That last bit's kind of cool.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm going to leave the podcast. You guys can do it. I'm going to go buy myself a ball. I'll be right back.
Wait, you're going to go what? Oh, you're
I'm gonna go buy a ball.
Yeah, sorry, you just cut out for just a second there. Yeah. Yeah, and then you can, like, have you tried the thing where you put a Pokemon into it and then go take it for a walk?
I haven't yet. I've been not taking walks. I've been playing this instead.
That's fair. That's a good point.
I do like there's also a nice little touch where when you plug it up to charge it, it plays the Pokemon Center, the sound that makes when you're healing your Pokemon.
Oh, that's a nice touch.
Oh, no way.
The little do.
Dude, stop. You're really making me want to go out and buy this. Like, that is ridiculously cool.
Can you feel the hole forming in your wallet right now, Tess?
I actually can, and Smash Bros. Comes out next week, so it's burning pretty quickly.
And there's a Mew in there.
Yeah, it's true. There's a Mew in my Pokemon Go file, too, but apparently that's not good enough.
And he'll be in there for the rest of the time.
Yeah, he will.
Maybe if you give Nintendo the $50, they'll just transfer. I've been playing with the Joy-Con, and let me tell you, I have been one lazy human being since I found out that I can just, like, oh, wow, I can just hold this in my left or right hand and just, like, move around. I wrapped a blanket up, and I had the Joy-Con in my left hand, I had a chocolate bar in my right, and then Kevin was just all like, this is the laziest I've ever seen you play a video game. And I was all like, I'm comfy, I'm enjoying myself, this is the best.
Yeah, that's mission accomplished then for Game Freak, because Junichi Masuda, the director, has been saying a lot in recent interviews that his goal was to make this a relaxing stroll through Kanto, basically. Like, they talked about how, like, they chose the graphic style, like, they originally were going to go with a more detailed, realistic look, and then they were like, nah, toons are more relaxing, let's go with the toon look. And then they remixed a lot of the music to make it just softer and more relaxing, and they designed it so you can play with one hand. Like, the whole theme of this game is just curl up in a blanket on the couch.
Just get a bag of chips.
I'm gonna get Kevin, because after this I'm actually gonna go back downstairs and play. For the podcast, I will wrap myself up in a blanket with a bag of chips and I'll send it to you guys so we can use for the podcast.
Excellent.
But yeah, no, like, seriously, mission accomplished for Game Freak for achieving that, because this has been the most relaxed I've been while playing a video game.
Yep, and I've definitely seen a lot of people saying in general, like, that I haven't been this immersed in a Pokemon game for a while, and yeah, some of it has to do with that relaxation. You know, like you said, you and I, you know, we kind of prefer the fighting to grind, but a lot of people don't like that, you know, so a lot of people are like, oh, I can get through this game so much faster because I'm not stopping as often to fight wild Pokemon or anything like that. I can just catch what I want to, stroll through the game, play at my own pace. It's just fun and relaxing, and especially for people with, like, you know, busy schedules that can't go fight wild Rattatas for 20 hours anymore like they could when they were kids.
I actually want to bring something up that I don't know if too many people have really thought about, but I think Game Freak actually recaptured that feeling of wanting to catch every single Pokemon ever. And because I found that when I came across in the forest a Butterfree, I've never caught a Butterfree or a Metapod by themselves before. They were just out there in the wild, and to me, that just felt like Christmas. Because I came into the Discord chat and I was like, guys, I just caught a Butterfree, like, the first time ever. And then, like, Humulos popped up and was all like, oh my god, you can catch, like, their evolved form, that really sucks. And I was like,
he's a wet blanket.
he's a wet blanket about it, but that, to me, that felt really cool. And I feel like this has just brought back that life of wanting to catch them all, wanting to explore and see what else we could find.
And by keeping it to, like, the original 151 plus, you know, some Alolan and stuff, it's actually within reach. It doesn't feel like this impossible task to fill up your Pokédex.
Exactly, and I love that so much. It feels like we're back to its roots, and it feels like it's back to its roots, but it's in a refreshing sense that they went back to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard, it's not difficult, well, in my case it's difficult, but that's just because I don't know how to balance my team. But it feels so good. It feels so nice to play. And it brings back that childlike wonder of the possibility of what happens if I manage to catch them all. What then? What happens? And it's been so nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting the same thing. I haven't really felt compelled to complete a Pokédex in quite a while, but I am planning to get all 151 in Let's Go Eevee.
So you're planning on buying the Pokeball Plus?
I could just trade with someone who's got a Pokeball Plus. Maybe I want to get 150. I don't know. I don't know if you have to get Mew to complete the dex or not, because you never had to, like in Red, Blue, and Yellow, I don't think, because Mew wasn't like released until years later as an event Pokemon. So,
well, if they want you to pay the $50, you probably do.
We'll see. You might still get me, Game Freak. I could buy it and then like take the Mew and then sell it to someone. I don't know.
I did see when I went to Target to buy my copy, they had like a thing on the game's like register in the back of like how to tell if Mew's already been taken out of the Pokeball. They already had a plan for that.
How to tell if Team Rocket screwed you over. And it's nice having Jesse and James back, too, running around the map being idiots.
I'm not gonna lie, like, when you go into the arcade, they're all like, well, it's, a poster that represents us. And then, like, you see the rocket, and then, like, their Pokemon is attached to the rocket. I went under my breath, I was all like, Team Rocket's blasting off again!
And I really liked all of the little games in the game corner, like, all the little references in there.
I actually haven't messed around with that too much. I should go back and poke around in there a little more.
Yeah, I mean, you can't play any of them, but if you like, each set of machines has a different game. There's one that references like the surfing Pikachu game.
Oh, okay.
One that references the like flying Pikachu game. There's one that's just a straight up Pokken reference. Like,
really?
Is that?
Yes.
It's like it's a Pokemon fighting game. Is that Pikachu wearing a mask?
Oh, Luchador Pikachu, you're the best.
Also, I believe that, like, you've come across it, Ben, where you go into, like, the room and there's the director of the game.
Yeah. It's in Celadon City, yeah, and there's like a graphics designer and a writer. Yeah, that was in the original too, but it's nice to like see them all made up in their smooth HD looking graphics. So, and I think I'm supposed to return there once I have my Pokédex filled out. So hopefully there's something cool. Maybe they'll give me a diploma to print out.
And there's that one guy in there that's trying to like figure out which female gym leader is his favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Missy. No, it's Sabrina. I don't know.
I mean, Brock is the obvious answer.
Yes,
Obviously.
Brock is best girl. So, what do you guys think? Nintendo, or I'm sorry, not Nintendo, actually. Game Freak has sort of batted around the idea of Let's Go becoming its own series that continues alongside the main series. Do you think Nintendo should do that? Do you think Game Freak should do that? Should they work together and make Let's Go a franchise?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be down if it means more Pokemon games. Then, yeah.
I mean, not only that, like, I've never completed a Pokédex. That would be cool to go through each region and complete the Pokédex.
So you think they should stick with treating Let's Go as like a remake series?
Yeah, I could see it.
I think so, because it makes those remakes kind of more special than just, this is just like the regular games, but now in HD.
Mm-hmm.
And fun and relaxing.
Plus, then they can sell you different versions of the Pokeball Plus with Celebi.
Stop.
This is the Great Ball Plus.
Oh man, they could sell, what is it, the GS Ball or something?
Yes.
And no, don't give them the idea. Look what you've done.
Take Elijah's idea. Do it.
I want to cut.
Freak. Do it.
They'll just send you a bunch of Celebis.
Hey, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I
All
think they
shiny
should keep it
ones.
going. I think they just need to make a few changes to make the go mechanics a little less frustrating. You know, obviously if they can improve the aiming a little bit, although like you said, Elijah, you didn't have too much trouble with it, so maybe me and Tess are just terrible.
I mean, I've heard other people have problems with it too, so.
Yeah, I think they could afford to increase the number of berries you get and the effectiveness of berries. Because right now I feel like you just don't have enough options to make it easier to catch a Pokemon when you're just lobbing Ultra Balls at it and nothing's working. I feel like they need to make it a little less based on random chance, because it is frustrating when you just end up wasting a bunch of resources and then the Pokemon runs away. Oh, and I've never liked in Let's Go that Pokemon can just randomly enter into this, like, invincibility frame stage where your Pokeball bounces off of them or they smack it away with their tail. That was annoying on a phone game, and it's really annoying in a console game. If I throw a perfect throw, your Pikachu or Pidgey or whatever should not be able to just stand there and be like, no, that ball didn't hit me. Stop it. It's garbage.
I don't know how I managed to, like, do it, but I accidentally... I managed to, like, throw my ball over an Onyx.
Yeah.
And I was just all like...
Man,
I was just all like, what?
you got a heck of an arm.
You just caught some
was
poor
good at
Zubat,
sports.
like, laying in the background. I mean, there's some stuff in here that I would like to see them carry over into the main games.
Yeah?
Like, I love having the Pokemon on the overworld.
Me
I
too.
can just imagine the sense of wonder, like, going into a new route and saying, ooh, what is that? I want to go get that.
I'm right with you there. That's the biggest aspect that I think could reasonably become a part of the core experience without, like, it would be a change and a pretty, like, jarring visual change, but, like, I think it's 100% for the better. I've never been a huge fan of random encounters, and I feel like Let's Go does a good job with the overworld encounters, so.
And it would still be, like, semi-random, you know. There's still percentages of, you know, Abra's not going to appear all the time. There's still stuff like that makes you kind of wander around a little bit until the Pokemon you want to get appears. But
Yep.
it makes it easier to avoid the thousands of Zubat and Ghastlies.
I have enjoyed avoiding the Zubats. They'll all just like swarm towards me, and I'm just kind of like, haha, not today.
Yeah, that, and then I think also the secret techniques. You know, I don't know if they could easily pull that off without you having, like, your specific partner Pokemon that's always with you or whatever, but I do like the idea of not needing, like, HM slaves anymore,
Well, I mean,
basically.
that's a concept that they'd already been doing in some of the recent games.
Yeah, they've been, like, with the, what are they called in
The
in Sun
ride
and Moon.
Pokemon.
Yeah, and they expanded Ride Pokemon too in Let's Go, which I think was a good move. So that's another thing that I hope they carry over into the main franchise, because I just love riding around on my Arcanine. Like, that's been maybe my favorite aspect of Let's Go.
I love some of the unique ways that some of the Pokemon carry you to. Like, I saw a picture of the Kangaskhan, where, like, your partner's just in the pouch.
You're in the
Yeah. Yeah, it's
the
great.
Snorlax.
Yeah, the Snorlax is ridiculous.
Thanks for the Totoro reference. That was really great
Yes,
to see.
definitely.
I'm hoping that, like, Machamp is like the like it was in Sun and Moon, where he just literally he carries you.
Yeah.
He just cradles you in his arms. I hope that's still the same.
Strong arms. All right. Well, do you guys have any last minute thoughts on Let's Go?
It's great. It's fun. It's definitely relaxing. 10 out of 10. We'll still keep playing.
How about you, Elisha?
9 out of 10. Too much water.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'm having a really, really good time with these games as well. So, few issues here and there that could be ironed out, either in a patch or just in a sequel that sort of takes fan criticisms to heart. But overall, I think these games are awesome, both for newcomers to the series that are just looking to get into a core entry for the first time, and for longtime fans who honestly just want to, like, go back to Kanto and relive their childhoods in HD. Because this absolutely is a nostalgia trip.
And finally have a Pokemon game on a console.
Yes, definitely.
But with that comes the fact that this is the last, Pokemon game that we're ever going to get on the 3DS was, what was it, like Sun and Moon?
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, I think this is it. I think this is the last time we're ever going to see a Pokemon game on the 3DS.
Yeah, definitely. They're starting to phase it out. So, but I mean, I'm fine with that. It was a good system, had a lot of great games, but I'm just so ready for the future of Pokemon to be all HD.
Yep. They can do it. They've proven to us time and time again. It's here. It's now.
And as we saw with the 3DS, like X and Y, they looked better than anything that had come before it, but Sun and Moon is miles ahead of it. So Pokemon Let's Go, that's just the start of what these games can look like on Switch. I think future entries are going to use the same sort of base engine, but it's going to be, more detailed, and everything's going to just continue to look better and better as Game Freak gets more time to work with the system. So I think the future of Pokemon is looking bright, whether it's Let's Go or the core entries. I think there's a lot of things to be excited about for this franchise. More than I've been excited about it in a long time.
Same here. I'm just so excited. I can't wait to end this and go back downstairs and continue playing.
Well, lucky for you, we're wrapping up. So, thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you want to follow us some more, I'm on Twitter at Erimgard. That's ERIMGARD. How about you, Tess?
You can follow me at Tessie Rousseau on Twitter. You can also join me every Saturday with Hombre, Aloysia, and Humulos as we do the Twitch stream. You can come join us at twitch.tv/Gamnesia.
And you said you were on the most recent Gamnesia After Dark as well, right?
Yes. So come listen to that. We actually ended up discussing Sony's pullout. And to be honest, I can't really remember what was said, but we filmed that on Saturday, so that should be out later in the week. We also talk about Black Friday deals on there as well. So if you're Canadian, I tried to include you guys because I know we don't get any deals, so I tried really hard.
Yeah, so if you guys want to listen to more Gamnesia content outside of just Nintendo, definitely check out Gamnesia After Dark. And Elijah, where can they find you?
You could follow me on Twitter if you want to. I never tweet anything, but it's EWH1995 if you want to see some dead space.
Woo! That's good content.
And then you can just find me posting on Gamnesia whenever I'm not swamped with work.
Or joining the podcast whenever we have you on, too.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And if you haven't already started playing Pokemon, go out and ride yourself an Arcanine.
Or a Charizard.
Bye, everybody.
It's time to let's go.